Thank you, Ramón Gieling. Thank you, Bach. Before we invite Ramón to come on the stage, I want to introduce the chief editor of the Dutch broadcaster NCRV, who supported this project, Jelle Pieter de Ruiter, and also the producer of the film, the lead producer of the film from Keydocs, Janneke Dolaard.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, I think you just saw a remarkable film from a remarkable filmmaker. Ramón Gieling has an impressive track record as an award-winning filmmaker, and sometimes filmmakers lose their power over the years, but I think, Ramón, you are getting better and better every day. I think with every film you make, you get a little bit tired to the secret of filmmaking, of music, of art, and in fact, of life itself. So, again, a warm welcome to the stage of Ramón Gieling.
Actually, it still feels like a little bit of silence would be quite appropriate. But we have to move on. We have questions coming in by Twitter. Let's start with Serbia. From Peter Mitric. Question for Ramón. What is your personal relationship with Bach's Erbarme Dich? It's a very passionate film, by the way, he adds. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So your personal relationship?
I'm afraid my story is not very exceptional. When I heard, I think it was 30 years ago, I heard the Matthäus Passion for the first time. I heard the Erbarme Dich, and of course I was devastated. There are very few pieces of music in the history of music that, I mean, there's a lot of good music, but very few are capable of knocking you out, so to speak. I think I'm one of the many million people that had the same experience with the Erbarme Dich. I used some pieces of the Matthäus Passion in other films of mine. A couple of years ago, I made a film about a Dutch piece of music, the Canto Ostinato, a 3-hour lasting piano piece, also very, very good. And the influence of this piece of music on the lives of people. I wanted to include the Matthäus Passion, but it was too big. I mean, it was too... that was too
would have overburdened it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think some films or the content of some films are just waiting for the right moment to be adapted, or so to speak, by the maker. That is what happened.
So what was that moment of rightness or ripeness for this film? It had been gestating for some time. Was there a particular thing that triggered?
Only good music is not enough to make a film about. I mean, then I would send people to the stores to buy the compact. So there has to be, let's say, a dramatic content. There has to be dramatic flesh, so to speak. Well, it needs no discussion that there's a lot of dramatic flesh on the Matthäus Passion. Also, it was. Of course, it was a kind of uitdaging.
Challenge.
Challenge, of course. Not to make, let's say... I mean, there were a lot of films made about Bach and about how good Bach was. I did not need a film to say that again. I needed this film to express, to say what the audience just saw.
Right. Well, that almost brings us to the next question, or I think it does. Question from Bram Verzeil. How did you find the characters in the film, and how did you select them? What was that process? Because they seem to be also a lot of the flesh on the music alongside the meat of Bach.
For a long time, I tried to cut away, let's say, the border between fiction and documentary. I always say, people who know me will think now, oh, he's going to say it again. There are only good films and bad films. There are no genres in that sense. So the casting, so to speak, or the scouting, of course, I had fantastic help by two of the girls who are here in the audience, Yvonne and Gabriella, my researchers. But I do this when I make a feature film, a fiction film. I cast the actors. In fact, we do the same with the characters in this film. I mean, they have to be able to tell their story. There should flourish a kind of quality once you film them. So that is more or less the process.
Were some of them personally known to you, so that they were people you thought, you know a particular aspect of their lives and you brought them in, or was it actually going out, casting real people?
Casting.
For example, the character who was the daughter, who was alive because of the Passion, she had this.
It's a fantastic story.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story.
The truth is, I knew her daughter. I know her daughter, and once she heard that I was working on the Matthäus Passion film, she told me the story. So I said, then I need to meet your mother. So we did. We met several times, and it ended up in the scene.
This also leads right on, I think, from Kino Nove Horizonti. Is your movie some kind of psychotherapy? Or Bach is, and they add, we feel very, very deep sadness, so it works. So
I think, let's say, good cinema, good literature, good music, I think gives us an armory. I don't know if that's a word. Sure. To understand, let's say, the cruel contradiction of life.
The human condition.
The human condition. Not so much that you understand it, but I think you can face it better. In a way, I think that good cinema or good literature or good architecture, good music makes you a more civilized human being. I don't need to repeat the words of Peter Sellars in the film.
Oh, go ahead. They were marvelous.
No, but yeah, they're fantastic. It's a sad, maybe, yeah, some people, after the viewings, people said it's a sad film. But it's a sad film that, yeah, maybe in a way it consoles you, or it makes you able to confront sadness.
Or to be with it, to surrender to it in some way. I think
Yeah.
Anyone out there who would like to tweet, is it a sad film, is it not? I'm really curious about this. Actually, I don't find it personally to be a sad film at all. Actually, very beautiful.
It's a film about sadness.
Sure.
Maybe that's a better way to...
But since we have all these cinemas out there, 40 of you, just sad, yes or no, thumbs up, put it through. Let's see what we might get up here. This is nice. From Moos, what was the most emotional day of shooting Erbarme Dich, and why?
I think if there are any other filmmakers in the audience, they know that once when you're filming, when you're shooting, when you're on the set, you have to be very focused. You have to be very cold in a way. So the audience should be moved, not me.
Nonetheless, was there something that...
What I found interesting after one of the first viewings, I was also moved, but not by the content of a story, but by form, the way a kind of editing, the chemistry of the editing, the chemistry of the woman singing and seeing the boy lying as a dead boy on the table, turning around. So the form moved me, also when I shot it.
And you...
The whole crew was very moved when we saw Hannes, who's in the audience. When Hannes was lying there, I felt during the shooting that we were silent.
It had an energy of its own that drew you to it.
Yes.
You use form when there are pieces of the film that are clearly recognizably a documentary. You know, people talking about things. And then you move very freely. You use images almost in a painterly way without constraint of time or continuity or any of those things. Is that what you mean by the kind of, you get moved by form, or?
Even still, if I look at some fragments or films of Godard, I'm still jealous of the freedom with which he made by which he manipulated his material. I think the last 25 years, my battle was with this notion of freedom. How can you achieve a kind of freedom that also will reflect on the viewer, that he feels free or she feels free how to watch it.
Given permission to interpret and I have a question here from Rosalie Ruade, which is sort of in this zone as well. Is it the ensemble of artists in the film that fascinates you, or the music that binds them together? Which one would you say leads the film? You're clearly fascinated by your characters, the artists, the characters.
10 years ago, I made the film that also was premiered here on the festival, the film about the football player in Un Momento Dado. All the characters there were really characters from the people. So that was, let's say, the opposite of what we see here. Of course, it was interesting to usually makers, let's say a painter or a poet or a writer or a conductor, are also like me. They're also cold in their work. They have to be cold. So it was fascinating to try and catch something that they maybe preferred not to tell me or to tell the camera. Up to a certain point, it was coincidence because I also had one character that didn't end up in the film, who was not an artist. So it was not a dogma that I needed, this ensemble of artists. It was a nice coincidence that we have this football team of artists together in the film.
So it wasn't so much as, I mean, what you describe sound almost like an intrusion, but that's the question, that's the dilemma that faces documentary makers, I suppose, in a way. Did you use the music at all in relation to the interviews themselves? Did you play the music as before or after you did? Did you use the music as part of that interviewing process?
Only once in the scene with Jacques and Joseph in the park. There I had the music live. I shot all the characters listening to the Erbarme Dich. Not all the shots ended up in the film, but during the interviews I didn't play the music.
No, I was just curious. Oh, we have had a response in terms of is it sad or not sad? It's rather nice. From Kino Forum. Here in Kino Forum, we'd say it was melancholy and the space to hold and think for a while rather than sadness. So.
I used, when I interviewed, when we shot with Peter Sellars, I used this expression the bittersweet, I don't remember exactly the words exactly, the bittersweet taste of melancholy, or the bittersweet pain of melancholy. So well, maybe that's a better expression.
Yeah, a place, melancholic, and also I like the idea that here where they say there's space to hold and think for a while, so sort of a non-denominational chapel. Speaking of, do you think, the piece is very beautiful, but it's so specifically Christian. Did you look at how the work might translate to non-Christian societies, cultures?
In the scene with Boudewijn, the composer who composed his own Matthew Passion, he was inspired by Islamic music. This phrase didn't end up in the scene, but in a way you can hear it because it's more than Christian. I try to approach it as human suffering. I mean, I think a lot of people still don't know that this guy Jesus didn't know why he had to suffer. He asked this, I think he asked this question a couple of times to his father, why? He knows he has a mission, but he doesn't really understand why he needs to suffer so much. I think maybe all of us have a lot of moments in our lives that we don't know why we suffer. So in that sense, I saw it much more as a universal story than a Christian story.
Right, I think suffering, we all agree, is absolutely universal.
That is also the reason why I thought that why I thought that my audience should be people that had lived very tough lives on on the streets, more than the rich that participate in the Easter concerts in Holland.
It's actually seemed that there's there is a sort of swing in your fascination with the characters to be those just a little bit outside, or a large bit outside the sort of norms of society. But here we have a question from Rob Koonin. Could you explain a little bit more on the role of the homeless in the film?
I just did. No, it was essential that we, almost literally, I wanted to see the music reflected on the faces of this fantastic group of people. I made some scenes with them. I tried to. We made some interviews, and then I thought it was better that we just saw the faces and we saw the story of their lives on their faces, the wounds that are on their faces.
Yeah, the lingering shots just on faces became a major part of the language for me.
Yeah. But I can say something. Not long ago, I had another film premiered in Amsterdam Documentary Festival about an African refugee. I followed him for over 2 years. And this group of African refugees was staying in a church in Amsterdam, in an empty church. And that's where the idea...
The image of the...
It is this church that we built it in the studio. But there I came to the idea of what if you would give a concert here, or what if you would perform the Matthew Passion here for these suffering, these wounded people. So that's where the idea came from.
This is quite a big question. There's two almost tied together. There's one. Well, no. Let's see. Let's go here. Callie von der Zander asks, "How would you explain the power of music?" It's quite a big ball of a question.
I think that's what the whole film is about. Once I called music also a kind of holy grail. We will never, ever discover where this holy grail of music is. Right. It should be kept locked up. We should never...
Unfound.
It should be it should stay unfound. of course, we all know, also in our own experience, that music, it's what Peter Sellars says, sorry?
Just some of our audience here going off to another screening.
Okay. It's this fantastic thought that he expresses, that if you hear this sad music, you realize that there's someone even sadder than you are. And that consoles you, of course.
The selfish man's access to,
in fact, it's
to the
selfish.
beauty of music.
Yeah. Now, what's also interesting, that when you write a script in order to get money to make your film, you have to write this script in words. But you write words in order to convert them, to
suggest or
to make them into images.
Yeah.
And then when the film is ready and the film is shown, then you have to translate it back into words again.
Actually, that is I'm going to segue right on here because, again, from Kino Nove Horizonti, the questions about the quotes between the scenes in the movie, the words on screen, who wrote them, and then we have a particular one they're quoting back. If there's anyone who owes everything to Bach, it's God. Good ones is the note. So
good.
Who wrote these interstitial
I think
texts?
only one or two are mine.
That one?
No, this is the philosopher Cioran, the Romanian-French philosopher Cioran, who was very cynical but also very religious. I wanted to, in these quotes, I wanted to create some confusion, and the first one is the best one. He's also from Cioran, I think. When he says the best thing man has invented was God. So he expresses three very deep thoughts in this quote. One is that he was invented by man, God. Two is that it was the best thing, which we can all doubt. And three is that maybe it keeps us off the street, so to speak, to believe in God or to believe that he exists. So these quotes were to break, sometimes to break up the storyline.
Right. They felt to me, in a way, this is just me personally, that it was like, okay, now let's look at this now. They were sort of signpost come punctuation, which you didn't want to let us settle down too much. You revealed something or suggested something or showed something, and then it's like, but what about this? What about that? I found them really effective.
And it also accentuates, emphasizes, let's say, the fragmentation of the film. But very easily you can make a left turn or make a right turn.
Yeah. And you're giving us permission to do that as the viewer. Our time is ticking away, but just one last question from Janine Purola. What did you learn about the St. Matthew Passion when making the film? And I'll add, I guess, that you perhaps didn't know before.
I listened, I heard it, I think, over 500 times or 1,000 times every day in the editing room. And together with Barbara, my editor, every day we said, this is crazy. I mean, usually after 500 times you get at least a bit bored, or you think, okay, now we can skip it. But no, every day we discovered again. So it's a cliche. It was written tomorrow, this music.
On that note, I think we have a wind-up. But I just want to... just want to say thank you for that. And just reflecting, I think all of us here and also in the cinemas across Europe have had the privilege of seeing these images on a marvelous scale and also with a sound quality that, we probably won't get to do too often. So with this film, with this music and these images, it's a really fantastic event, theater, cinema, kind of moment that we've been able to put together with IFFR Live. I can't think of a better place for this to be world premiered, and thank you.
Okay.